Alright, hello everyone. So I talked about convective available potential energy. I talked about this disturbance here that's going to be creating the severe weather, the shortwave. That's number 2. I talked about how there's not going to be a low-level jet present. So I think while that will limit your threat for tornadoes and damaging winds to some extent, there's going to be a lot of CAPE, meaning a lot of instability, and I think that alone is going to be enough to create some severe thunderstorms across eastern Texas, Louisiana, southeastern Oklahoma, and southern Arkansas, and western Alabama possibly by Friday evening, tomorrow. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, what we need to talk about is moisture. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here. By the way, this whole time I've been using the European model. We're going to look at dew points, okay? Dew points are a measure of moisture that are coming in, and if you take a look, this is again that's 7 a.m. Friday. Let's go ahead. This is 1 p.m. on Friday. Look at all this. This whole area in here, southern Arkansas, Louisiana is completely in it. Even western Tennessee, all of Alabama, and especially eastern Texas. This yellow area and brown area, that is dew points of, it looks like up to 65 to 70 degrees. So that means there's going to be a lot of moisture present here. Now, because you have the trough coming in here and it's positively tilted, you have a southwesterly flow bringing in that moisture. That's why your dew points are going up. So that's going to aid in the development of severe storms as well, because the moisture coming in creates instability because you have drier air working in on the back end of this. That's why the dew points are so low. So you can clearly see the contrast between air masses here. As this short wave comes through, you have the moist air down here, the cold air back here, dry air back here, creates instability, and this entire area that I'm outlining right here with the highest dew points and the most moisture, and again you have all of this convective available potential energy, all this instability. So you can clearly see where the severe weather threat is going to be here tomorrow. Alright, I think we get the point. I think you can clearly see the area. So that's what I'm looking at for tomorrow. Alright, now the last thing that I want to look at, I wonder if they have it on here. I don't think they have it on Weather Bell. I think I have to go to my other source here to get it. Alright, here we go. So this is 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Now, this is the disturbance that moved through today across the Midwest and brought severe weather. And by tomorrow afternoon, it has now crossed the Great Lakes, and you have showers, a line of showers, and some thunderstorms extending back across the eastern seaboard here. And then again, with the low-level jet being very potent down in the south. With the first system, you're going to have some drenching thunderstorms again across further east across Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. But then back here you can see with, if you go to vorticity, again I'll show you. This short wave here, again coming through. You can see now that there's some moisture kicking up ahead of that now during the afternoon hours on Friday. And you get to Friday evening, again you can see that the moisture is picking up here with that southwesterly flow coming in. So that's just the other thing I wanted to show you. And then dew points on this map, again you can see how it's really potent across eastern Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas and western Alabama for tomorrow. Now, the last thing, shear. Now, shear is also very important because what that does is that increases the rotation in the atmosphere, so it allows supercells with rotating updrafts to form. Now, shear values aren't going to be as impressive as they were today. They were really impressive today in certain areas, and that's why you got quite a few supercells with tornadoes today. Shear values look to be most prevalent again, eastern Texas and Louisiana, possibly up to 50 to 60 knots, and that's still pretty impressive. But today they were in excess of up to 70 knots. Now that's just a lot of shear. So again, just this is going all the way up into the atmosphere. That's your 6-kilometer bulk shear. 3-kilometer bulk shear, again, you're getting up to 40. You typically need to be at 30 or higher to get supercells to form, so this is pretty good across this area again. And then 1 kilometer. It's really going to be in the, it looks like the upper atmosphere is going to be more prevalent with this year. So what that tells me is if you don't have shear close to the atmosphere once again, however, I think some of these storms could be surface-based because what you have here is, look at all this, again, convective available potential energy. That's surface-based CAPE. That means that storms could be forming up from the surface. Okay? So I think there will be the potential for some surface-based severe thunderstorms tomorrow. I think some high cloud tops will be possible, so I think some hail will be definitely there, perhaps. Hail is going to be a potential. Damaging winds, I think, will also be a potential with the vortex moving through the shortwave. Again, the low-level jet is not as prevalent as I'd like it to be, so I think the damaging wind threat might be a little bit less. And again, I think the severe weather threat's going to be a little bit less widespread. So I think it's going to be, again, I think there's still the potential for some supercells to form, and then maybe during the nighttime you get a squall line to form along with that. And then on Saturday, some of the CAPE values spread east into Saturday evening. Again, it's not really too prevalent. However, the one thing about Saturday into Saturday night here, if you look at the dew points, this is Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon. Look, you have moisture spreading all the way back up into Virginia, the Carolinas, and Georgia. So now look at what your vort map looks like. This is your shortwave moving through. It brought severe weather back here on Friday, or will be bringing it tomorrow. Now your severe weather threat on Saturday is going to be across the East Coast here. Okay? And again, I think it's going to be more of a line of showers and storms at this point, because you don't have a lot of CAPE. However, you do have the moisture, so I think this is going to be more of a squall line by Friday night, moving across Kentucky, Alabama, western portions of Georgia, Tennessee, and western portions of the Carolinas, and into Saturday that squall line is going to continue to move east throughout the East Coast. And I think your threat for a strong storm or two might be as far north as Maryland, Delaware, and southern New Jersey. I think it's going to stay south of Long Island, New York City. I think you get mainly showers. Or actually on the northern end of this low, what's going to happen, there's going to be a major rainstorm this weekend. Anywhere from Pennsylvania Turnpike on north, there's going to be a major rainstorm. And then further north into the upstate area in central northern New England, you're going to have a snowstorm because it's going to be cold enough for snow. But again, we're focusing on the severe weather. So I think I've talked enough about the dynamics that are going to be coming together tomorrow and into Saturday to create severe weather across the south and the east those 2 days. So with all of that in mind, this is my threat map. Again, the threats, I have damaging winds, some hail. I think the damaging wind and hail threat is going to be across eastern Texas tomorrow, Louisiana, and southern Arkansas, and southeastern Oklahoma. So across the western portion of my area here, this area here, I think that's your main threat for damaging winds and hail, and possibly an isolated tornado or two before the storms move east into less favorable conditions. But I do think that hail threat and damaging wind threat could extend back into western Alabama and eastern Mississippi, eastern Louisiana. So this is actually the Mississippi here, my mistake. Western Mississippi, eastern God, I'm so bad. Louisiana, later in the day on Friday, because I showed you how the Cape does spread a little bit further east throughout the day. So the dynamics do spread further east, but not far enough east. I think it's mainly going to be a heavy rain threat over New Orleans. I think it'll be mainly a heavy rain threat across eastern portions of Mississippi and southern areas there, mainly a heavy rain threat. I mean, you still might get some gusty winds, maybe some hail. I don't think you're going to get an isolated tornado. I think that threat is mainly to the west. So that's my thinking there. So that's for Friday. So I think you have the chance of some surface-based supercells across eastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, possibly New Orleans. Again, I'm skeptical on that. Surface-based supercells capable of producing damaging winds, hail, isolated tornado or two, and especially heavy rain. And then spreading east into Friday night, I think a squall line is going to form. Again, the main threat being damaging winds and heavy rain. Okay, and less of a tornado threat. Saturday, I think you're going to have that squall line of showers and storms continuing to move east, along with your vorticity max here, your shortwave. So I think your threat is going to extend all the way up into southern New Jersey, Pennsylvania Turnpike, and south. You are game for a strong storm or two. Then extending back across Virginia, D.C., I'm going to include you in the threat for a strong thunderstorm or two on Saturday. Baltimore, I'm going to include you as well on the northwestern fringe. You could see a strong storm or two on Saturday. Richmond, you could see a strong storm or two. And then the Carolinas and Georgia is going to be the main threat, I think. That's where the best dynamics are going to be, the most moisture, the most instability. And then also the eastern coast of Florida might see some strong storms as well. Now these storms are going to be more, again, of a squall line, so damaging winds and heavy rain would be the main threat. Less of a tornado threat, I think. Possibly an isolated tornado or two across the Carolinas and eastern portions of Georgia. Because there is, what the models are showing is the low-level jet strengthens just a little bit as this thing starts to strengthen as it heads east. So I wouldn't be surprised if you got a couple of tornadoes across the Carolinas and Georgia, maybe southern Virginia, Saturday. North of there, I think you're mainly either a heavy rain event and then up into northern New England snow. Alright, so I think I talked about some areas for Saturday. I want to just quickly go to Google and pull up a city map because I wasn't specific on the southern areas for Friday. So I didn't think it would be so hard to find a map here. Alright, here we go. So, for Friday, where do I think you have the best chance of damaging winds, hail, isolated tornado or two? So for Friday, Houston, I'm going to include you in the threat area on the western end. Dallas, I'm going to include you as well. Fort Worth, I'm going to include you. Corpus Christi, I think you could see a strong storm or two, but I think the threat is mainly to your north. San Antonio, you could see a strong storm or two in the morning. Same with Austin. But again, I think the severe weather threat there is mainly to the east. Shreveport, you're in it. Little Rock, you're in it for tomorrow. Where else? New Orleans, you're in it. Baton Rouge, you're in it for tomorrow for some severe weather. I think New Orleans and then Biloxi, Mississippi, and Jackson, Mississippi, your main threat is for heavy rain. But Jackson, Mississippi, I wouldn't be surprised if you got some damaging winds and hail tomorrow as well. And then spreading into Alabama, by then it'll be a squall line, so Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Pensacola, you could see some damaging winds and heavy rain as well. Okay, and then back into Tennessee, I think Nashville, you might be on the northeastern threat area for some gusty winds and stuff tomorrow as well. Some stronger storms are possible, probably towards Friday night. Okay, by then it'll be a squall line. Man, all that talking killed my voice. Alright, so that is your updates for tonight. Severe weather. Then into Saturday, I already talked about all the areas I think are at risk there. Alright, tomorrow I will have updated info on the rainstorm up in the northeast as well as the snowstorm, and we'll talk about, severe weather once again. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.